And we start this evening with breaking news. President Biden says he will not seek re-election following weeks of pressure from fellow Democrats, but he will serve the rest of his term.
Good evening. I'm Tamon Bradley.
And I'm Jewel Hillary. Jackie Bang is off. And WGN's Brona Tumulty joins us with reaction to today's historic news. Brona.
Good evening to you both. Yeah, it's been a very interesting day, to say the least. That news out of Washington reverberating around the country this afternoon that President Biden would finish out his term, but would not be seeking a second one. After decades in the political sphere, Joe Biden's career is coming to a close. An arguably catastrophic presidential debate in June prompted weeks of speculation about the election, with the president ending his re-election campaign today via social media, writing, "It has been the greatest honour of my life to serve as your president. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of the term." The news sending shockwaves around the country, with reaction flowing from all corners, including from Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, who posted to Truth Social a short time later, saying in part, "Crooked Joe Biden was not fit to run for president and is certainly not fit to serve, and never was. He only attained the position of president by lies, fake news, and not leaving his basement. All those around him, including his doctor and the media, knew that he wasn't capable of being president, and he wasn't." That, a stark contrast to many other messages of support flooding in, congratulating Biden on his commitment to public service, which includes 36 years in the Senate and 8 years as second in command to President Obama, who also released comments earlier praising Biden's accomplishments and saying President Biden has pointed us away from the 4 years of chaos, falsehood and division that had characterized Donald Trump's administration. Through his policies and his example, Joe has reminded us of who we are at our best, a country committed to old-fashioned values like trust and honesty, kindness and hard work. The main question now becomes who will top the Democratic ticket in November, and mere moments after learning Biden would drop out, a second statement was issued, the president endorsing his VP to take his spot, saying, "Today I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year." The sitting vice president quick to respond, thanking Biden for his commitment to the country and adding, "I am honoured to have the president's endorsement and my intention is to earn and win this nomination."
I think it would be virtually impossible, not just because of her popularity and that she'd be a very good nominee and candidate, but the unity behind President Biden for making this selfless decision can't be underestimated. I think that's significant.
Congressman Mike Quigley amongst those weighing in on the prospect of a Kamala Harris presidency, which would make her the first female and the first woman of colour to hold the highest office.
I think she's the nominee, and the money's there. But let's not forget the obvious. This is going to open the floodgates for her ability to raise money. This is what not just the small donors, but the big mega donors were looking for. You know, this is wind in your sails, let's get going.
But not all are ready to endorse her.
She's a formidable competitor, and I am seriously considering it. I think that she's going to make a very powerful case to delegates who will vote upon her in the convention.
What happens next is somewhat modern uncharted territory. While Harris is likely in the best position to become the Democratic nominee, there's no guarantee. And now even more scrutiny on Chicago, with experts saying a temperature check in a couple of weeks may give a better indication of where delegates are leaning.
I think what probably will still happen is they'll do the virtual roll call at the beginning of August to get a sense of where the state delegates are. And at that point, we'll know whether or not they'll be casting their votes for Vice President Harris or for others. We don't want it to go, we as a nation don't want it to go to a second round where superdelegates have to get involved. That looks very messy. But I think it's important that there's a recognition that a process will play out as opposed to an anointing of a nominee, because that does look undemocratic.
Mayor Brandon Johnson releasing a statement within the last hour as well, saying in part today President Biden cemented his legacy as the rare leader who puts the people above himself. It is vital for our entire party to come together and support Vice President Kamala Harris. I am proud to give her my full endorsement. The President, in the first of his statements today, did say he will be addressing the nation in the coming days, but it's not yet clear when exactly he plans to do that.
You had a lot to work with there.
Certainly did, yeah.
That was comprehensive. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks so much, Brenna.